Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mwalimu.
Good evening. Good evening, Mwalimu.
Oh, thank you very much. Let me hope this is where we had stopped in the last class. Were we to start on the regression approach?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so let's continue with the topic cost estimation. And like we said in the last class today, we then start on our cost estimation method number 2. And this is what we call the regression approach. There is not so much to talk about this approach, apart from to remind, again, this you have done before, yeah? Only that we will now simplify how this is done. Excel simplifies these things. So what I will remind first about is that the approach uses statistics. The approach uses statistics. In other words, this is a statistical approach. So the approach uses statistics to determine A and B. Remember, in the linear equation. In that linear equation, which we now know, the method uses statistics to estimate the values of A and B. Now, in Excel, this is not very lengthy. The way it was really, when you did this and your quantitative analysis, yes? That is at the intermediate level. It was very lengthy when you had to write and use calculator to really illustrate this approach. Now that was very lengthy. Excel shortens now how this is done. One more thing that note is that in Excel, yeah, is that in Excel, we use a feature called, let me call it a data analysis tool pack or toolkit. We use a feature called data analysis tool pack or a toolkit to illustrate this. And so a lot of concern and our focus will be on this feature that we call the data analysis tool pack or what? Now toolkit. The question is, how does the tool pack or toolkit now work? To then illustrate this, we shall be looking at a past paper question of December 2022. We shall be looking at December 2022. Now this was our question number 25. So December 2022. We shall be looking at question number 25. So what you'll do is, can we look for the next sheet? The one labeled regression analysis. And as you can see, I've titled the question December 2022. This is question number 25. So I think I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. Read through the question first. Then we can solve it using the regression analysis method. So look through that. All right, so the question talks of a company called a Farmgate Company Limited, produces and sells shovels. Then we are told that the company has provided the following data for quantities of shovels produced and the related production cost for the calendar year, now 2021. We have the month from January to December. And then we have quantity produced and then production what? Cost. The question are then required. And I will start with part A of the question before we come to part B and C. The question are then require that we determine the variable cost per unit. And please remember that when we talk of the variable cost per unit, in that linear equation, this is the value of what? B. So we are told to determine the B value and also which other value. The question talks of a total variable cost. Now this is not right. So please adjust this and let this be total what? The total fixed. This should be total fixed, the total fixed. This is the total fixed cost. We are told that using regression analysis. All right, so let me come down here. And again, when you are told over this total fixed, remember also that in that equation, the total fixed cost is the value of A. Let's have the solution down here. So that solution. So in part A, we are computing, let me call it a value of A and what? A and B. Now, this is what we have said, yeah? Let me just take us back to where I introduced this. You know, I said that for the regression approach in Excel, we use a feature called the data analysis toolpack or a toolkit. And where do we find this thing? Let's do this, eh? The data analysis toolkit or toolpack, which is what we work with, is somewhere in Excel, yeah? And this is normally under data, yeah? When you talk of data analysis, that's normally under data. So up here, can you click on this data thing? So click on data, click on data. And when you click on data, I want to talk to one of you. So I think, Rachel, you can help us, eh? You'll be helping us on this until we are through with what I want to explain. Rachel, are you there?
Yes.
All right. When you look at the right-hand side of your, have you clicked on data, Rachel?
Yes.
When you look at the extreme right, are you seeing this data analysis thing? You can see mine,
I'm not
right?
able. I can see yours, but okay, let me see in this drop down. I don't have it in my laptop.
Yeah, actually, if you had it, I would be very surprised, eh? You can't have it, eh? And I know that applied to all of you.
Okay.
That is because this is a feature that is called an add-in. It's an add-in in Excel,
Okay.
yeah? An add-in feature, eh? Add-in.
Oh.
By add-in, this is what I mean, yeah? So add-in. It's an add-in, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a feature which unless you activate in Excel, you cannot see it. Like mine is now already activated. That's why you can see it.
Okay.
And this is activated because I've used this computer in another class. So in that other class, I've already done this. So I already activated it. So the first thing I must teach you is how do you activate it so that you can see it. So Rachel, you'll wait for a few seconds. Allow me to, to deactivate mine so that I also do not have it. Then from scratch, we see how to activate these things. Sawa.
Yes.
So don't unmute, just like 5 seconds, I'll be done. Give me a few seconds. All right. So Rachel, let me hope we are now together. You can see that if I click on data, if I also click on data, you can see I don't have it on the extreme right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is the case with you as well. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how we do this thing. This is how you activate it. I want you to come to this. Rachel, are you seeing this file on the extreme left?
Yes.
Click on it. The rest, let's also do it together, as you listen to me talk to Rachel. So Rachel, you have clicked on it,
Yes.
and you have many items on the extreme left, including info, the new, the open, and so on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want you to click on this last one called options. So click on that. If you click on that, have you been taken to a window, a new window?
Yes.
On that window, again, look at the left. Again, you have many items, including general formulas. Are you seeing them?
Yes.
Come to this second last one called the add-ins. Are you there?
You click on, yes, yes.
Double click on it.
I have.
Have you now look at the right of that? Do you see? You have seen changes on that right side, isn't it?
Yes.
And in those changes, I believe you can see active application add-ins. Can you see that part under name?
Yes.
And currently, you are told no active application add-in, isn't it?
Mine has some things. Okay, I use it. Yeah, I use it in work, in doing my work, my office.
Then that is possible. Yeah. So what you don't have is what we want. So you also have to activate it. Can you see the inactive application add-ins?
Yes, yes.
Which is the first one?
The analysis tool pack.
I want you, that's what we are looking for. So I want you click on it once so that it is highlighted blue. You've done that?
Yes.
Now, so once you've highlighted it blue down there, are you seeing this part labeled go?
Yes.
Click on it. When you click on it, what has happened? You've been taken to another small window, isn't it?
Yes, add-ins available.
Add-ins available. So the first one is what we are looking for, the analysis tool pack. Okay?
Yes.
And what you'll do is to check it. Do you know how to check such an add-in?
Yeah. Yes.
You click the box before it,
Yes.
Or if you click the box before it, it ticks.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
There is now a tick in that box if you click on it.
Yes.
But once you have done that, on the right-hand side, you can see OK, right?
Yes.
Click on OK.
Done.
I want you to now look at the extreme right-hand side under data, yeah? Do you now see the data analysis?
Yes.
Good. That's what we are looking for.
Okay.
So that's how to activate it. Once you've activated it, you can now use it for the regression analysis. Okay?
Yes.
How does it work? for the regression analysis. Now, this is what you'll do. I want you to scroll up and come back to this information so that we are clear. Rachel, I'm still with you. You will give me a few seconds with you still, eh?
Okay.
Now, Rachel, what you'll do is, how do we use this data analysis tool? Double click on it so that it opens.
Okay.
When you double click on it, have you been given some small window?
Yes. I first select. Yes? I select the data as you've done.
No, don't select. Don't select data.
The month, quantity, and product cost.
Look here.
You've highlighted. Data. Okay.
Just click on this data analysis, eh?
Yes.
So have you been taken to a small window called data analysis?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And you can see tools, eh?
Yes.
The one we are looking for, the tool we are looking for is what we call regression. Of course, most of these things you have met them, yeah? I know you know ANOVA from your QT or QA. Things like correlation, covariance, you have met them, yeah?
Yes, yes.
But what we are looking for is regression. So you will scroll downwards and look for regression option. Okay. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Now click on it once so that it is highlighted blue.
Yes.
You've done that, eh?
Yes. On
the right-hand side, you see OK?
Yes.
Click on OK. So when you click on OK, you have been taken to some regression window, isn't it?
Yes.
Below the regression window, we have input. And we are told input Y range here, and also input X range there.
Yeah.
So here under input Y range, Rachel, we are together.
Yes, we are together.
In this information, what is Y? Let me just harass you, kidogo. What is Y here? Is it quantity or production cost?
The quantity.
Y is normally cost. Quantity is normally X. Sawa sawa.
Okay. Yes.
So Y is cost, and so we are looking at this production what? Cost. So under input Y range here, can you highlight all the values of the production cost? All of them. Rachel, you've done that?
I'm highlighting. Yes. Then I enter.
No. Wait for my instruction. So have you highlighted the values of Y?
Yes.
Okay. Put your cursor at input X range. You've done that, right?
Yes.
Again, highlight the values of X, the quantities. All of them.
I've highlighted.
You've highlighted. Now,
yes.
Wait a minute. Don't do anything, class. I want you to listen. Hii nafanya peke yangu. Nyinyi, ngoja my next instruction. When you come to this part B of the question, and please just look at my screen, yeah? You don't need to do anything on your side because I know you'll mess up what I'm showing here. Don't do anything, just listen. When you look at this part B, the last part of it says that include the lower and the upper boundaries at the 95% confidence intervals. So sometimes you can be asked about this confidence interval thing. Now, Rachel, when you look at this window we are in, are you seeing this confidence level thing?
Yes.
Currently, it is at what percent here?
95%.
Yeah, so by default, Excel will give you 95%. But confidence level need not necessarily be 95%. I could even set in exams that it is 99%. How do you change it so that you have 99%? To change it, you don't have to do this like I've said, yeah? To change this percentage, you must first of all check check this. You take it. Just a minute. My Excel is misbehaving. Just a minute, you wait for me. My Excel is misbehaving. All right, so you must check it first so that editing is enabled therein. So that you can then change that, like you can see, I can even change this to 100%. Or I can change it to 99%. But for this question, leave it at that 95%. So leave it at that. Rachel, one last step, Rachel.
Yes.
On the right, are you seeing okay?
Yes, yes.
Click on okay. So Rachel, when you have clicked on okay, what has happened?
It has brought a summary output.
So you've been taken to another sheet, a new one, isn't it?
Yes.
And the title for that sheet is called the summary output.
Yes.
That is what we call the regression output. Alternatively, you can call it the regression result. The computer I'm using today is a bit slow, so please give it a few seconds. It will show that sheet very shortly, so that I get to explain that sheet briefly. So you've been taken to a totally new sheet. Rachel, please confirm that this is what you have, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So again, by default, when Excel provides for you a regression result, like now this summary output, that will be provided in a different sheet. It won't be provided in the sheet where you had the workings. It will be a totally now new sheet. A regression output or a regression result normally comprises 3 parts. One is what we call the regression statistics, followed by what we call the ANOVA. And then lastly, we do have what we call the coefficients. We do have what we call the coefficients. The coefficients are the same as the constants. In statistics, when you talk of a coefficient, then we are looking at what? Constants. Which constants do we have in that linear equation which we are working with? Who is remembering the constants in that linear equation? This is now open to the class, not to Rachel alone. Eh? Which are the constants in that linear equation? Y is equal to A plus BX. Which constants did we say we have? 2 constants. Which one and which one? Hey, which constants did we say we have in that equation? There are 2 constants. Yes, Bruno.
We have A.
A and which one?
A and X.
A. X is never a constant.
A and
the constants are A and B. Sawa sawa.
Yes.
The constants are A and B. And so when the question says that these are the coefficients, let me color that in yellow, these 2 figures. And let me have them in terms of accounting figures. 3.9 million and this 95. These are the values of A and B. So which one is A and which one is B? The intercept is the value of A. You know, the intercept is the same as the total fixed cost. Whereas X variable 1, this is the variable cost per what? Per unit. And this is B. So that is A and B. That is A and what? A and B. So the value of A is this 3.9, whereas the value of B, we have this 95 point what? 17. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, if I go back to the question where we were answering the question, I summarized that part A of the question once we compute values of A and B. So we are looking for what is the value of A and what is the value of what? B. We now know that. We can say that A equals what? I come to this sheet, this 3.9. And B, now this also equals this 95.17. That is there for the answer to part what? Part A. That part A had 6 marks. You can see the 6 marks. So this earns you now 6 marks. So that Rachel is that clear that these two are the values of A and B?
Yes, it's clear.
Betty?
Yes, it's clear.
Sadia, is it clear?
Yes, it is clear.
All right. So with that, we have answered the first part of this regression question. We've answered part A, the per unit variable cost, and then the total what? Fixed cost. So that is the answer to part A. Let's look at part B of the question. So let's look at part B of the question, which says what? That we estimate the total production cost if the following number of units are produced. We want the total cost of producing these units. All right, so who remembers how we compute the total cost of a given number of units? You know, when you have these values, when you have A and B, you can now get the total cost of producing any quantity. Somebody to give me the total cost. What is the normal total cost of the first 100 units? If A and B are this, what is the total cost of producing the first 100,000 units? Somebody to give me that figure. We saw this under the first approach. How did we compute the total cost of units when A and B are this? What is the cost of the first 100,000 units?
I got 13,094,000.
10 million.
So you get 13 million. So of course you know how to compute. Now this is what I want us to do, yeah? I want us to say that part B, we are looking for total cost of units. I will have a space for narration. I'll have a space for narration. I want to see how to arrange this work. Or I can call it the normal A and B. The normal A and B are this one, and then B is a 95 point. Why I'm using this word normal, I'll tell you very shortly. Eh? And then below it, I want to compute total cost in shillings. In shillings. So I want to compute total cost in shillings for three quantities. For three quantities, number one is 100,000. Number two, then of course number three. Number two is 150,000 units. And then number three, we have 200,000 units. So you have been able to compute for the first quantity. So that for the first quantity, what you have done, you've said equal to, you've taken this total fixed, 3.9 million, so plus. P is this 95.17. Then you've said times units. Units are 100 what? 1,000. That's what you've done. So that's what you have done. That's what you have done. And so that gives us 13.4 million. Similarly, you compute for the other two quantities. And the other two quantities, you have those amounts, 18 million and then 23 million. Would somebody confirm that that is true? Could somebody please confirm that those other total costs are correct? Do we have a confirmation?
They are correct.
No, when I tried mine, it say hash value.
When you try to drag. Sadia, what are you saying?
When I'm trying to drag, that's 13,000. It does not give me
it without locking. You must lock the constants for you to drag, eh?
Okay.
If you can't remember the locking concept, you must compute one by one. Otherwise, you can do it the way I've done it. You lock the first two. You know A and B are constants, and so you lock them. You lock them before you can drag that formula. Sadia, is that okay? See what I've done? See mine. Those dollar signs, you must lock the two first, eh?
Okay. Thank you. It's fine now.
It's okay now, yeah? So is there anybody who has not been able to do this before we proceed? Anyone who has not been able to do this before we proceed on? Now, look at the marks that were awarded for that part B. The awarded marks for part B were 12 marks. Do you think this can earn you 12 marks, what we have done here? Take note that that is not possible. That is not, and why is this not possible? Now, there is a part of, there's a continuation of part B. Look here. We are told to include, look at this statement here. You know, we are told to include the lower and the upper boundaries at 95% confidence intervals. Now let's do this. I want to explain this thing. Let's come to this this sheet. That for the summary output. Let's come here. And Rachel, are you here? You are my designate co-driver.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So this is what happens, Rachel. When these figures are computed, they are estimates. You know, statistics are numbers on average. And numbers on average are normally estimates. So these are estimates of A and B. These two.
Yes.
When they are estimates, it means that they are not 100% correct. Okay?
Yes.
What then statisticians do is to establish what we call a range. A range. This range is the same as what is called the interval. You know, an interval is normally a range from one number to another number. Normally from a lower number to another number. What is this range normally for? The range is normally an interval within which we consider these figures accurate, even as estimates. When you go beyond the range, these figures are not accurate. So these figures are accurate between a lower number and an upper number. These are what we call the lower interval and the upper interval. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason for which, Rachel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You can see we have lower 95% here. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
And then we have upper 95%. Let me explain what these things mean. First of all, allow me to have these things to accounting figures to 2 decimals. To 2 decimals, we have that. The lower 95% means that this is the lower range, In other words, the least possible value for A and B are these ones. These ones are the lower. Rachel, tunaelewana?
Yes.
And then the most possible, the highest possible values of A and B are these ones at the upper. Such that these values of A and B cannot exceed this limit to be accurate.
Okay.
When you compare these coefficients with the lower, you find that the lower is less than these coefficients. Then when you compare the same coefficients with the upper, then these coefficients are less than the upper. So they are somewhere between the lower and what? And upper. Rachel, is this argument making sense to you?
Yes.
So
like
these are still values of A and B. These ones here, this lower and upper. But now for the two ranges, lower and upper what? Ranges.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
What the question wants we do, let's go back to the question. What the question wants to do, when it says we include the lower and the upper boundaries, the question means that we then compute the total cost at the lower boundary, and also compute the total cost at the upper boundary. Reason being, we have the same values of A and B at these boundaries.
Yes.
So let's copy A and B for the lower boundary here, and also copy A and B for the upper boundary here. So for the lower boundary, the value of A is I copy from this other sheet, 916. And once I have that, I can now have the others without. All right, so that's what we have. So if these are now the values of A and B at the lower and the upper boundaries, what again is the total what? Total cost. So what is the total cost of these quantities again at the lower and the upper what? Boundaries. Bruno, utashindwa kufanya hiyo kweli? Bruno?
No.
No. Betty, utashindwa kufanya hiyo kweli?
No.
Haya, fanyeni haraka haraka 2 minutes. 2 minutes, finish on that.